Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to give you 5 more things that I didn't know about C-section before I had one. These ones are a little bit more like TMI, gooey gory goodness. As you may have seen in my last video, I did mention them. So just bear with me. If you don't want to go into detail about things, don't watch. Yeah, so let's get started straight off. So the first one is the wind pain. Because you've been opened up to have your C-section, obviously they're cutting open your womb, you get a lot of trapped air caught in there when they sew you back up. Now, no one mentioned it to me, but when you wake up, my God, that pain is agony. That wind is so painful, like feeling it shift inside you, but you can't do anything about it because you've got to wait for it to pass naturally. You can't really force it or push it or take anything for it. You've just got to wait for it, and it's a horrible pain. It does go away pretty quickly. It takes a couple of days and you'll know about it when it goes. Trust me, you'll know about it when it goes. Yeah, so that's really horrible. The second one is that you still have vaginal and cervix pain. Now imagine if you've had a vaginal delivery before and you're having a C-section this time. Remember your vaginal delivery about a week later when your stitches are sort of healing up and you've stopped having that stingy burning pain, but you still have that throbbing ache constantly. You still get that when you've had a C-section. I don't know if it's just me, but for me, I still had that. I think it's something to do with the bleeding, because obviously it's still going to irritate your cervix and everything like a period would, but that's what I had. I don't know if you'll have it, but just be prepared for it because it is really uncomfortable. I used padsicles for both my scar and for my cooch, so you may want to get some, or make some, should I say. I don't know the recipe because my friend made it, but if you Google it, apparently you can find loads of recipes on there. It's just aloe vera, lavender oil and witch hazel or something like that, and oh my God, they're amazing. Seriously, they're amazing, so they're worth it. The third thing is the shakes that you get with an epidural. I've kind of had people mention that you get a bit shaky, a bit jittery, and I was like, oh, okay, it's like shivers, like when you get cold or when you get flu and you get shaky. No, this is completely different. Seriously, you shake so violently that you feel like you're going to come off the bed, like you're vibrating across the bed, and it is terrifying. I felt like every inch of my body, even my fingers were shaking, not just my hand jittering away, my actual fingers were shaking. I could feel my eyebrows were vibrating. It was like every inch of my skin and every inch of my body was vibrating, and my God, it is so intense, and it's not painful, but it does take your breath away, or it did for me. Again, it may not be the same for you, but for me it did, and it really took my breath away because they did the spinal tap and then they had to top up with an epidural, and they doubled the epidural and it still didn't work. I'll explain that in another video, but yeah, it was really, really intense and it freaked the life out of me. So yeah, no one told me about that, so be ready for that. They are prepared for it, the surgeons are prepared for it, so don't panic about it. I kept apologising, saying I couldn't stop shaking, because I was like, you need to stay as still as you physically can to be able to have a C-section done, because you don't want them to cut the baby or cut you wrong or whatever, but you can't control it, so, you know. The fourth one is the first poo. Now, everyone always says about the first poo after you have a baby, and honestly, it is not painful. I will tell you that now. If you end up being split or cut, from your vagina to your anus, then yes, it is going to hurt because you will have stitches up in there. I didn't. Most people don't. That's going to take a lot for you to end up with that. But if you get tearing on the inside of your bowel, then yes, you will have pain. But in general, for most births, including mine, and I had a ventouse delivery, they're not painful in the slightest. Now, the weird thing is, when you have a vaginal delivery, your first poo is it's like a muscle memory, because you've pushed so vigorously to have the baby and pushed so hard, even though consciously you know it's not true, your body kind of thinks that it's trying to give birth again. So pushing hard is really difficult to do because you go into a major panic mode. I was shaking, I was crying, like it's so intense. I ended up having to have my partner in the room to be able to do my first poo with my firstborn. Now with the C-section, it is different, but it's still as terrifying because you've been cut open and you're told you're not allowed to put any pressure on yourself and you're not allowed to push. So I was given Laxido twice a day, and it took until day 3 for me to actually be able to go. And it didn't hurt, it wasn't uncomfortable, but it was terrifying because you can't control yourself pushing, and it really freaked me out. It was the strangest sensation trying to go without pushing it at all. You kind of just have to sit and let it go. But it's really difficult to do. It's scary, and even though consciously you're kind of like, it's going for a poo, I've been doing it since I was born, literally. I might have even done it in the womb for all I know. But honestly, it is just to do with the hormones and to do with the fact that you've given birth and your body trying to reset itself. And it's just a weird process. And the 5th one, the final one, isn't really a TMI one, but it is something that no one mentioned to me, is how high and how narrow a surgery bed is. I've never had surgery before the C-section, never had an anaesthetic before the C-section. The closest I've had was having a tooth pulled, which was at a standard dentist, and I didn't even have anaesthetic for that because it doesn't work on me. Fun times, trust me, you don't want to do that. But the bed is incredibly high and incredibly narrow. So for me, I'm 5'4", and I had to have like a step that was probably about this big, which I struggled to stand on in the first place because I couldn't lift my legs because I was struggling with my bump and my hips because my hips kept dislocating because of my condition. Again, another one. But I managed to get up onto the step, and even then I still needed to have a little boost on the step, so I had to have like someone's hand to help me kind of lift me back, and with my size that was difficult to do, but I managed to get onto the bed just about. It took us like 10 minutes to get me on the damn bed. And when they obviously have to put the epidural in before you can lay down, and it's really difficult when it's kicking in and you start getting your pins and needles, which I obviously started getting. I didn't go numb, but I did get the pins and needles and the dead leg feeling, like the heavy legs, and trying to get onto the bed without falling off the other side is really, really difficult for me. It's partly because of my weight, partly because of my bump, but partly because of the epidural. And there has to be like someone on the other side of the bed to catch you just to make sure you don't fall off the other side. And that made me feel really nervous. I obviously had to have 2 people on that side because if I did go, I'm a lot bigger than most people, but not for long. But yeah, it's really difficult to do that, but you do manage it, and there is a reason for it because of how it's shaped. It's basically to hold you on the bed when they do the tilts, because during your C-section they have to tilt you to take the pressure off your spine and off the baby. But like, as you know, during your pregnancy you're not supposed to lie flat on your back, and you have to lie flat to have your C-section, so they kind of lie flat and tilt you to the left. That way for me, that way for you. I don't know, it's confusing. I don't understand my camera. But yeah, so they tilt you to the left, and it feels really weird, and it does feel like you're going to roll out of the bed, and your automatic reaction is to lean yourself the other way. But if you do that, you're going to end up leaning on the staff trying to keep you on the bed, which I ended up doing quite a lot, and I felt awful for it. But you'll get there. It's very strange. Having a C-section is one of the weirdest things in the world. I cannot tell you what it's like being awake during a C-section, how it feels or anything like that, because I ended up under general anaesthetic. My spinal tap went in like a legend, my epidural worked like a legend, but they didn't actually work. Like, they went in fine, they started fine, the ice test sort of worked. It took about 20 minutes longer than it's supposed to take, but they managed to get it, like they do it by how high up on you can feel the ice, and mine I kind of took to like underneath my boobs, and it's supposed to go like up to the rim of your chest, and I could still feel there, so they were like, we'll give it a go. As soon as the scalpel touched me, it was like searing pain, so they had to put me under, which sucks. So I don't know the rest of it. You'll have to look at other people's videos for that. But I hope this is helpful. I know, as I said, that it's a little bit TMI and it's not the nicest thing to think about, but just to help you be prepared if you're having a C-section. I am high risk, I have a very high BMI, I have Ehlers-Danlos, so that's why the anaesthetic didn't work for me. And I had low PAP-A as well, which luckily didn't seem to affect the baby, as far as I can tell. But anyway, I hope you liked my videos, and let me know if there's anything specific you would like to know. Obviously, because of my issues that I had during pregnancy, if you want to know anything specific, let me know. I'll do a Q&A at some point in the future when I have enough people commenting to give me enough questions to bother doing one. But like, comment and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.